Hello, and welcome to my podcast. Today we're going to be going over civil liberties and rights. Let's talk about one of the most pivotal Supreme Court cases in American history, Brown v. Board of Education, in 1954. This landmark case challenged the doctrine of separate but equal that had been established in the 1896 case, Plesley v. Ferguson. This case had legalized racial segregation in public facilities, including schools. In Brown v. Board of Education, the plaintiffs, led by Oliver Brown, argued that segregated public schools were inherently unequal and violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. The case involved several plaintiffs from different states, but the main issue was whether segregation in public schools created a sense of inferiority among black children and that harmed their education. On May 17, 1954, the Supreme Court, led by Chief Justice Earl Warren, issued a unanimous decision that declared the state-sanctioned segregation in public schools unconstitutional. This ruling famously stated, separate educational facilities are inherently unequal. This decision overturned Plesley v. Ferguson in the context of education and was a major victory for the civil rights movement. The impact was enormous. It was a step towards desegregating schools across the U.S. and sparked a wave of civil rights activism, including protests, legal changes, and the eventual passage of major civil rights legislation in the 1960s. Brown v. Board is often seen as a turning point that set the stage for the broader fight for racial segregation. Now, we're going to be going into contemporary connections. We're going to go about a topic to a modern event or issue and include a short Q&A or /mock battle among group members. Now, school desegregation today is the topic we're going to be talking about currently. While Brown v. Board was supposed to bring an end to school segregation, many argue that public schools today are still deeply segregated, often due to economic inequality and housing patterns, rather than explicit laws. A 2016 report by the Department of Education showed that many schools remain racially segregated, with Black and Latino students often attending schools with fewer resources and lower quality education. A good example of this is the debate over school choice in charter schools. While some argue that charter schools can help bridge the gap and offer better opportunities for minority students, critics argue that they may actually contribute to the increased segregation, particularly when wealthier families have more access to them. Now for the mock debate /Q&A. So, okay, disclaimer, I couldn't find two people to go over this with because my partners were not here, so yeah, sorry. So, what do y'all think? Is the struggle for school desegregation truly over, or are we still fighting for the same fight in new forms? Do you guys think they help address the problem of school segregation, or do they just reinforce it? Let's bring in our group to discuss this. Person one, Emily, you studied charter schools. Do you think they help address the problem of school segregation, or do they reinforce it? Person one, pro-charter. I believe charter schools have the potential to provide more options for disadvantaged students, especially when public schools are underfunded. But yes, the reality is they can sometimes end up serving a more privileged demographic, which can make the situation worse if we're not careful. Now, back to the host. Interesting point. What about you, person two? You worked with community organizations that focus on education equality. Do you think we're still fighting for the effects of Brown v. Board today? Person two, critic of the current system. Absolutely. While Brown v. Board was a legal victory, it didn't solve the deep systematic issues. Many of the factors that create racial segregation in schools today, like economic inequality and residential segregation, still exist. So in many ways, we're still battling the legacy of Brown. That's the host. So does this mean we've moved beyond Brown legally, but not socially or economically? Person two, critic of the current system. Exactly. We've taken steps forward in terms of the law, but we're still far from achieving true equality in education. Person one, pro-charter. This is why efforts like school choice, as problematic as they are, needs to be part of the conversation. We need to reform the system, not abandon it. Back to the host. A thoughtful discussion on how the legacy of Brown v. Board still impacts us today. It's clear that while we've made progress, there's still much work left to be done, creating a truly integrated and equal education system for all students. Now, I'm going to be going over some topics that involve civil liberties and equal rights. The topics are going to be, the Bill of Rights objectives, the First Amendment freedom of religion objectives, the First Amendment freedom of speech objectives, the First Amendment freedom of press objectives, the Second Amendment, the right to bear arms, amendments overall and balancing individual freedoms with public order and safety objections, selective incorporation objectives, amendments, again, which would include due process and the right of the accused and the right of privacy, social movements and equal protection objectives, government responses to social movements, balancing minority and majority rights, affirmative action, and that'll be all. Now, starting with topic number 1, the Bill of Rights. Excuse me. Excuse me. The Bill of Rights was created to limit the power of the government and to protect individual freedoms. These first 10 amendments safeguard rights like freedom of speech, religion, and the right to a fair trial. Landmark Supreme Court cases such as Angel v. Vitale, the District of Columbia v. Heller, and the District of Columbia v. Heller show how these rights apply in real-world situations, ensuring that the government cannot infringe on personal liberties. Now, the next topic, the First Amendment freedom of religion. The First Amendment Establishment Clause prevents the government from establishing a state religion, while the Free Exercise Clause protects individual rights to practice their religion freely. In cases like Angel v. Vitale again, the court ruled that prayer in public schools violated the Establishment Clause. And in Wisconsin v. Yonder, it protected religious practices even when they conflicted with state law, highlighting the decline between religious freedom and public policy. Now, moving on to the third topic, the First Amendment freedom of speech, and the next topic will be the First Amendment freedom of press. The First Amendment protects freedom of speech, but not all speech is protected. Speech that incites violence, such as Sheriff v. United States, or disrupts public order can be restricted. Tinker v. Des Moines protected students' rights to protest peacefully, demonstrating the importance of speech in a democratic society. Modern debates on speech often focus on the limits of hate speech and regulation of speech on social media platforms. Freedom of press is crucial for democracy, allowing journalists to expose government actions and hold officials accountable. In New York Times Co. v. United States, the court ruled that the government could not prevent the publication of classified documents, emphasizing the importance of free press. However, balancing the press freedom with national security concerns remains an ongoing challenge, especially in cases involving sensitive issues. Now, with the fifth topic, the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms objective. The Second Amendment protects the right to bear arms, a topic that has sparked intense debate over the years. In the District of Columbia v. Heller, the court affirmed an individual's right to own firearms for self-defense, while debaters around gun control focus on balancing individual rights with public safety. Discussions about gun laws, particularly regarding assault weapons and background checks, continue to shape the conversation on this amendment. Now, on to topic number 6, balancing individual freedom with public order and safety objectives. While the Constitution protects individual freedoms, these rights are not absolute and can be limited when public safety is at risk. In Shechnik v. United States, the court ruled that speech that creates a clear and present danger can be restricted. Similarly, issues like national security and surveillance often prompt debates about balancing civil liberties with government efforts to protect the public, such as during the post-9/11 era. On to topic 7. Selective incorporation objectives. Selective incorporation refers to the application of the Bill of Rights to states through the 14th Amendment Due Process Clause. Landmark cases like McDonald v. Chicago extended Second Amendment protections to state and local governments, ensuring that fundamental rights are protected at all levels of government. This principle has been crucial in expanding individual freedoms beyond federal jurisdiction. Topic number 8, amendments, due process, and the right of accused objectives. Due process ensures that the government respects the legal rights of individuals and provides fair treatment. In cases like Gideon v. Wainwright in Miranda v. Arizona, the court established the right to an attorney and required police information suspects of their rights. These decisions highlight the importance of protecting the rights of the accused while maintaining a fair and just legal system. On to topic number 9, amendments, due process, and the right to privacy objectives. The right to privacy, though not explicitly stated in the Constitution, has been inferred from various amendments. In Griswold v. Connecticut, the court protected the right of married couples to use contraception, while Oglethorpe v. Hodges extended privacy rights to same-sex marriage. In today's digital age, privacy concerns extend to data collection and surveillance, raising new challenges for protecting individual freedoms. Now, topic number 10, social movements and equality protection objectives. The Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment has been central to the civil rights movements. In Brown v. Board of Education, the court struck down racial segregation in schools, and similar rulings have advanced LGBTQ plus rights, such as in Oglethorpe v. Hodges. Social movements continue to advocate for equal treatment, and the courts play a crucial role in interpreting the Constitution to ensure that the minority groups are protected. Now on to the next topic. Topic 11, government responses to social movements objectives. Governments often respond to social movements through legislation, executive orders, and court ruling. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965 were key legislative responses to the civil rights movement, aimed at ending segregation and protecting voting rights. These policies were designed to address inequalities, and their impact continue to be felt in efforts to expand rights of marginalized groups. Now, on to the next topic. Topic number 12, balancing minority and majority rights. The Constitution protects the rights of minorities, even in a system that emphasizes majority rule. Landmark decisions like Brown v. Board of Education and Oglethorpe v. Hodges have safeguarded the rights of racial minorities and the LGBTQ plus community. Debates about affirmative action, voting rights, and other policies continue to raise questions about how to protect minority rights in democracy while respecting the will of majority. Now, finally, affirmative action objectives. Affirmative action policies were created to address historical inequalities and promote diversity. Supreme Court cases such as Regents of the University of California v. Bake, Fisher v. University of Texas, and more recent cases like Students for Fair Administration v. Harvard examine the legal and fairness of these policies. While some argue that affirmative action is essential for equal opportunity, others contend that it may perpetuate unfair advantages based on race, leading to ongoing debates about the future. Now that I've gone over all the topics, that's all I have to say. Thank you for joining me with my podcast.